Like, this whole pipeline was going to get put in the ground without you spending a cent of all of our money. But here we are. You got yourself in a hell of a predicament. You pissed off the Greens. You pissed off your base. You pissed off us that don't like you. And the pipeline still isn't in the ground. You can legalize marijuana, but we can't twin a pipeline, an existing pipeline, to the coast.
On his Western Canada tour, Trudeau is playing a balancing act when it comes to appeasing both sides of the Trans Mountain Pipeline project. The environmentalists, who want no more fossil fuel development, and the oil industry, who is a massive driver of the Canadian economy, are both putting pressure on Trudeau to see the issue go their way. So what is this Kinder Morgan pipeline project? And how did it become the most controversial energy project in Canadian history? The Trans Mountain Pipeline has been operational since 1963. It is the only pipeline in North America that moves crude oil and refined products to the West Coast. It starts in Alberta, cuts through the Rockies and heads towards BC, or it forks with one section heading south into Washington State. From there, the crude oil and refined products are put on tankers that head overseas. But how did a pipeline built decades ago become such a hot topic today? Well, in 2013, supported by the province of Alberta, Kinder Morgan decided to have the pipeline expanded. A new pipeline would essentially follow the same route as the existing one and will triple the carrying capacity from 300,000 barrels a day to 890,000 barrels a day. As a result, the number of oil tankers traveling through the Burrard Inlet is expected to increase sevenfold. Why do they want to build an additional pipeline? Here are some benefits that this project can bring to the public. Expanding the pipeline so that Canadian oil can reach the market overseas. Yes, the project will build a greater access for Canadian oil and also a stronger economy. According to the Conference Board of Canada's estimation, the project will create an equivalent of 15,000 construction jobs and the equivalent of 37,000 direct, indirect, and inducted job per operation year. Provincial and national tax revenue will increase as well. Pipeline transport will contribute to Alberta's acts on lower carbon climate plan, as this leads to less greenhouse gas emissions. Without the Trans Mountain Pipeline, Alberta cannot afford its national leading climate actions. Now let's talk about the headaches that the pipeline will bring to Canada. First, the risks to the ambient air still remain unclear. Even though Kinder Morgan carried out some air quality measurements, the unrealistic modeling method and non-transparent data make their report unreliable. They probably don't even know how harmful the pipeline is to the air, or even worse, they have the answer and just don't want to make it public. Secondly, what happens if there is a spill? The National Energy Board has reported that 60% of the oil product has been spilled compared to 40% recovered since 1961. Not every Indigenous people are happy about that, because some parts of the pipeline have to be built underneath their residential areas and run right through Jasper National Park. Mike Houdema, a Canadian activist, tweeted, "A new wave of resistance against Kinder Morgan pipeline is rising up in British Columbia. Stand with Indigenous people to stop Kinder Morgan." And there's this thing about pipelines where you don't really notice it until something goes wrong. Even though Kinder Morgan is fully responsible for recovering the environment changes due to the spills in Alberta and British Columbia, it still takes time to recover. However, Kinder Morgan would not be charged if spills happen during ocean shipping. The responsibility taker will then be the carrier and the insurance companies. The other risks that the project will bring us are increasing oil tanker traffic, expansion of the Alberta oil sands, a huge threat to Pacific coast species like giant Pacific octopus, southern resident orcas, sea otters, leatherback turtles, and many more. Is building the pipeline worth the trouble? Does its pros outweigh its cons? Will it ever be finished? What will be Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's next move?